G'day, g'day, g'day. It's absolute privilege to be here and a part of this conference. So the Naked Farmer all began from this photo of me in the back of a truck. That's lentils that you can see there, and my good mate Emma Cross took this photo, and the idea from it was actually I was going to do a joke calendar with my mates, and every photo of the calendar was going to be me naked around the farm of my sloppy rig. So so that's how it sort of the naked aspect come. And I was sitting on the tractor the next year planting these same lentil seeds back in the ground when I was sitting there, and on the tractor it's auto steer, so you literally just sit there and do what you do, and plenty of time to think, as farmers do. And I thought, you know what, I want to dedicate an Instagram to naked farmers. And back then the idea was to educate people on where their food and fibre comes from, because there's a huge disconnect there between the people that grow our food and our end consumers. And I really wanted to shorten that gap and get people to appreciate what we do to provide this for everyone. And within the first month, the Naked Farmer social media absolutely went bananas, and we got a few thousand followers in the first week, and photos were getting sent in left, right and centre. And I was looking through all the followers, and I wasn't getting to that metro or the town people. I was attracting farmers, and the followers were farmers. And I wanted to use this platform for something positive, and that's when I decided to go down the path of mental health. It takes a lot of guts to get your gear off, as it takes a lot of guts to talk about mental health, so it goes hand in hand with the whole thing. But so each day the Naked Farmer posts a photo on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, we post a photo each day. Some days we post an inspirational quote. Some days we post a bit of a funny pun just to make people laugh each day, or sometimes if they feel comfortable doing so, we share their stories. And these stories are extremely powerful, and I'm absolutely honoured to be able to put their story out there and be a voice for them to share their stories. And it really helps others connect, and especially in this agriculture industry, it's very, very important that we can do that, because we're in the middle of nowhere, and it's hard to get places and to be able to talk to people. So the next best thing is the internet, and thank God for the internet and social media. And if we use it in a positive way, we can create a community like we have with the Naked Farmer. And I'm absolutely honoured to be a part of it. And I always say that the people of the Naked Farmer are the ones, running it. I'm just putting it all together. They're the ones that send in the photos. They're the ones that share it, talk about it, and all that. So, and I'm extremely passionate about it, because as I was talking about in the presentation before, I did grow up with a lot of anxiety and was struggling. I could never leave parents' side. I couldn't, shower by myself until I was 10. Never did school sports or camps or anything like that. And I got to the stage when I was 18, just got my license, and I was in year 12, and it was just me, my dad, and my brother living at home. My parents broke up when I was young, when I was about 5, so that was a tough time for us kids as well, going between house to house. But so I just turned 18, just about to graduate, and I was driving down the main street of my local town, and I started having this, couldn't breathe, started shaking, sweating, didn't know what was going on. My friends thought I was having some sort of fit, and they kind of thought I was just joking around, being funny me, because I was a bit of the joker of the group. So I had to stop, and it took me about 10 minutes to regroup myself, and I was like, right, I've got to go home, got to head back to the farm, got to go see Dad. And this is about 12 o'clock at night, and so I started heading home. I live half an hour out of Horsham, which is my local town, so it's a bit of a drive. Got halfway home by myself, and it started happening again, and I was like, oh no, I'm having a heart attack or a stroke or something. Didn't know what was going on. So I had to stop then as well, regroup myself, and then got to the end of my driveway, and I could feel it starting to happen again. And so I sped down that driveway. Luckily I was driving a manual car, and I stalled it in the driveway and ran inside, and I remember screaming out to Dad as I was running down the hallway and opened up his bedroom door, and he just launched out of bed and just bear hugged me. He thought I'd had an accident or something, and he's like, "Why are you a ball of sweat? What's going on?" And I said, "I don't know, I just don't feel right." And I was sweating and dizzy and all this. And so we rushed straight back into hospital. He thought something like a heart attack or a stroke was happening as well, and got hooked up to all these machines at the hospital and do what they do, and they couldn't give any answers. They had no idea what was going on, and never gave an inkling to anything. And and it wasn't until, you know, I would do my grocery shopping and that for the family, and I ended up, you know, ditching the trolley a couple of times down the dog food aisle because I couldn't go through the checkout because I'd chicken out. But Grandma cottoned on, and that something was wrong, and she sat me down one day and she goes, "Oh, what's going on? How come you make me do the grocery shopping all the time for you?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't like people and whatever." And she goes, "You know, I'm exactly the same. Happens to me as well. Happens to your aunties." And that's when I sat back and I was like, "Oh, right. So it's normal. It's okay to feel like this." And then we went and saw our doctor, our family doctor, and she sat me down and she goes, "You're having anxiety attacks." And that's when I realised I wasn't dying, and that there was something that we could do to combat it and talk about it. And we, you know, did hierarchies and did a few other things, but I couldn't really get the handle on it until about 3 years ago when I lost our family home. As you can see here, it was a beautiful homestead. And the amount of memories and love, and, you know, my dad grew up in this house, and then me and my brother and sister grew up in this house. And this day was one of the most heartbreaking days of my life. I remember getting the phone call. I was at the local footy match. Our footy club hasn't been in a final for 40 years, and we got into the first final, so the whole family was here at the footy, and meant to be an awesome day. And got a phone call from my neighbour, and she goes, "Oh, Ben, what's going on? Are you burning some rubbish down at your house?" I was like, No rubbish. Why is that? And she goes, "Oh, there's a lot of black smoke down at your house." And I thought, shit, it could be the hay, because the haystacks go up all the time with combustion and stuff. So I'm like, "Can you please go down, check if it is a fire? Can you please call the fire brigade? I'm on my way." Got in my ute. It's a 45-minute drive from where the footy was to home, and got there, and as I was coming down the driveway, I could see all the, you know, the lights, and there was about 40 people, you know, standing in front of my house. And I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't have neighbours. You know, my nearest neighbour is 10 k's down the road. So the amount of people, the community that come together that day just to help out, and this is what I saw when I walked in. When I drove down the driveway, it was just one wall standing, and then when I parked the ute, I walked over, and here my grandma was on the ground just bawling her eyes out, and that was rock bottom for us. And seeing my grandma so strong, a really strong lady, just on the ground, and that was by far rock bottom for me. And that's I really struggled through that time. But from this, I was, as I said in the video, that I got put in charge of the rebuild, and straight away I was like, no way I can, you know, go into tile shops and talk to builders and, you know, organise this. Like, nah, can't do it. But Dad and Grandma and Grandpa really pushed my boundaries to do it, and I didn't want to let them down, because this is going to be our future family farm home for generations to come. And so I bit the bullet and did it. And something so negative of my house burning down, there was a huge positive out of that, and that was me learning how to control my anxiety. And it was a blessing in disguise, I guess, in a way. But God, I'd still love my house back. But that's life, isn't it? We just got to move on and continue on. But so and also I lost my uncle to suicide when I was about 2, and his daughter was the same age as me. And so I saw the ripple effect of that through our family, and still to this day. And it's, you know, 25 years later. So and she got married last year, and you know, she didn't have her dad or her mum. Her mum died of cancer the year before, so it was a lovely wedding, but it was very sad at the same time. So yeah, so I see that ripple effect. So that's why I'm extremely passionate about the Naked Farmer and what we do in the mental health space. Agriculture, you know, farming is very demanding, and there's a lot of things that come into it. You know, we're not just, you know, farmers, we're accountants sometimes, and, you know, we, you know, have to do all the spraying. Like, there's a million things that we do behind the scenes that people sort of don't realise, that we just don't go out and feed sheep and, you know, take them to the market sort of thing. There's a lot of in between, and at the moment with this drought through, you know, Queensland, New South Wales, parts of Victoria and South Australia and Tasmania as well, it's, you know, it is very crippling, and it's one of the, you know, the biggest causes of, you know, negative mental health in, you know, in the agriculture industry is, you know, financial is one of the biggest things, and then marriage breakups as well, you know, and that goes hand in hand with your finances, like the financial side of things. It gets all a bit tough, and it plays on our mental health. And the Naked Farmer, you know, we travel around each year. We do a tour, and last year I did a tour around mainland Australia, went right around and caught up with farmers. What we do is we rock up, I'll do a call out on social media and get people to put their hand up to be involved, and then, yeah, once we get there, we do a bit of a talk, we, you know, have a bit of food and chat, and then I interview them, and then, yeah, we take photos around their property or their farm, just so we can paint a picture of what sort of farmers they are. Like this guy, he's an organic dairy farm, and yeah, so, and then we take our Naked Farmer photos, and we do this for two reasons. One is we're going to publish a book in the near future, hopefully by the end of next year that'll be out there, but that will have the stories of all these farms that we have visited along the way, and that will show photos of their properties and them as well. But also we do a calendar each year, and that is to raise money for the Rural Flying Doctor Service, Rural Mental Health, because they do awesome stuff in, you know, in the rural mental health space right around Australia. So yeah, do a calendar dedicated to them to raise funds for them. And yeah, so this year we went down to Tassie because we didn't get to go down there last year. So this was actually up the north west side of Tassie, right up the end. And this is a guy named Gary, an absolute legend of a bloke. And as you can see, he absolutely loves his cows, and he's very passionate about his pastures and all that type of thing. But he's got his, like everyone that we see on the tour has, you know, their own mental health stories, and this is Ali, and Ali suffered from postnatal depression, and that's something that I haven't really heard much about, and the way that she explained it was really, really powerful, and I'm really excited to get her story out there, and so people can relate and you know, talk about it. This is Ali and a group of girls as well. So Ali she does flowers and mustard and potatoes and cattle and sheep as well. So their farm, as you can see, is absolutely stunning. It was really cool to travel around Tassie and see the amazing places. And this is Beck. Beck was an absolute legend this day. She, about 5 days before, unfortunately, she lost her brother. And yeah, so she was very, very passionate about still going ahead with this shoot, and getting all her friends around, and it was a very, very powerful day. There was 17 ladies that joined her, and I remember, we were standing there getting ready for the shoot, and there's about 10 ladies around, and she's right, everyone's here, and because everyone else said no that she asked, but then people just kept coming, and all her friends ended up coming, and God, it gives you goosebumps, some of these places that we go. And Beck is an absolute lovely lady, and then this is also one of her mates, and then this is Kenny. So he is a spud farmer, and so we went to him, and then we went to Rupert's Wood, which they do, you know, sheep and that type of thing. The guy here, he really struggled with his mental health at one stage, and he actually created this little piece of art that he calls it, and it was a way for him to disconnect from the world and get into his own little thing and make a little project like this. And this was his way of showing, that, he was saying how he's making it, but then there's like emptiness inside, and his story will be in the book as well, and it is, amazing. This is, a berry farm. And then Carl, the most positive man you could ever come across. He got told 17 years ago that he had a year to live. And 17 years on, he still goes back to his doctor every few months, and his doctor goes, "So you're still alive? How do you do it?" And he goes, "I don't know, I'm just positive." And he inspires you to be positive. It's incredible. Brad, young family, and they're in severe drought at the moment, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. That's down the bottom of Tassie, and and he's really struggling at the moment with the drought down there, and that's something that you don't think about Tassie in drought, but on the east coast there's an area there that is in drought and down the bottom, and these cows, he was feeding them every day, and I went to an orchard, and these guys do cattle, sheep, and vineyard as well, and then so it was absolutely amazing, and that's the whole idea behind the Naked Farmer is getting out there, talking to farmers, sharing their stories. Essentially, the Naked Farmer is a voice for farmers, and that's what we're very passionate about doing. In the future, we are going to do a podcast as well, so that's something that's coming hopefully next year, and also next year is my biggest tour yet. I'm actually riding a horse through Queensland, New South Wales. Haven't learned how to ride a horse yet. I had my first little lesson on Sunday, and I couldn't walk for about 3 days, so I'm kind of regretting my decision on doing that, but that goes hand in hand with mental health. It's something that I don't feel comfortable doing. It's really going to push my boundaries, and that's what I try and encourage people to do, is do something out of your comfort zone, push yourself, and learn to adapt and overcome. So I encourage you to ask questions when we go on the panel, but thank you very much, and cheers.